Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the Bundesliga Fantasy Show, brought to you by Over the Bar. Back finally from this international break that we've been having. It was good to be back last night. Myself and Mark doing some predictions ahead of match week 11. Alas, we are returning for the brilliant fantasy version of our show, and joined this morning by Rune. Good morning, Rune. How are you doing? How chilly is it over on your end?
Pretty chilly and snowy and all that. So happy to be sitting inside at the moment with a blanket on and ready to record. And I just look forward to the Bundesliga returning. It's been a long international break, I feel.
Yeah, it has. I was saying to Mark last night that it feels well because I missed a few shows myself prior to the international break for various reasons. I don't, and we missed one fantasy show as well, perhaps. So yeah, it feels like it's been a long old while. So very, very happy to be getting back stuck into this. So yeah, without any further delay, obviously we've got a big show ahead for you. So I can see there's already a few comments and questions, which is fantastic. There's a few questions asked on X, which is great. So plenty to get stuck into. Just before we do, of course, if you can find it in your heart to leave us a like on this video, that would be absolutely excellent. Always helps us in terms of algorithms and all sorts, especially on YouTube. Comment along, get your questions in, subscribe, and make sure you switch on those notifications to make sure you don't miss out on any shows. And of course, make sure you're following Bulinews wherever it is. And, you know, they're at bulinews.com on X. And you can, of course, find them on the website as well. Right then, Rune, let's get stuck into it. And we'll just start off with our goalkeepers. And forgive me, everyone, for my terrible lack of preparation, because let me just get the banner sorted out for this one. Let us go. Right, so probably spend less time on this as per goalkeepers. So do you want to just swing us through your thoughts? Obviously, you still got Labrovic in net. Stands to reason, 25% pick that a lot of people are still thinking this way.
Yeah, still the cheapest starting goalkeeper, and still not a position I want to invest a lot in. And I think the game against Bayern could go two ways. Either he doesn't make that many saves and has a pretty underwhelming match day, or he makes a lot of saves and compensates for conceding 2 or 3 goals or whatever. So I think it actually could be still be a fine match day for him now that clean sheets don't matter anymore. It's more about making saves, and pretty sure he'll be in a position to make a lot of saves. And also, before the season started, I have a friend who created a model projecting points for every game based on data, and Labrovic is actually the player, the goalkeeper projected to have the best match day in his model. It's not always super accurate, but it's a pretty good indication of what will happen. So also kind of looking at that and thinking, okay, probably still fine with Labrovic in the net, and then I'd be happy to spend the funds elsewhere. And then, yeah, of course, Philip as my backup goalkeeper, because, yeah, need to pick someone at 1 million. And, yeah, if Baumann gets an injury, then I think he should be the one to jump in. So, yeah, not much else to say about that, really.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think very wise for us to just kind of swiftly move through. I'll just double check if we've got any questions in relation to goalkeepers, because I know Yona, William, and David have asked questions. Let me just have a quick look. No, I think we're good. So we'll move on. We'll cover defenders, and then we'll come back to questions in a second. So picks for this round. So through this draft, Rune, obviously 5 defenders to work our way through. Yeah, a few ones that definitely make sense from a previous few weeks and how things have been going. So again, just work your way through and let us know you're thinking through these 5.
Yeah, I've set up this team with the plan of rolling with a 3-4-3. So yeah, clearly I've picked 3 starting defenders and 2 bench players. The first starting defender I've picked is Brown from Eintracht, who is expected to start again against Werder, and he's actually scored two games in a row. Not expecting that to continue necessarily, but I mean, does say something though about him as a player, that he is a player who is maybe good at finding the right positions and who comes forward a lot as well. Last time, if I remember correctly, he actually played as a left midfielder instead of as a fullback. This week he'll probably start as a fullback. Teade is a big doubt, and yeah, he should play at the fullback position. Even if Teade is fit, though, I think it's difficult to leave Brown out at the moment. And the same with Collins at the right back position. So 2 very good options. I think Collins is 1 million cheaper, but Brown has shown just a bit more goal threat so far, I think. But yeah, Collins is a great option as well for Eintracht in that price bucket. Then really Orban, I think, makes a lot of sense this week. In terms of points average per game, he's the second best performing defender with 256, which is pretty amazing. And Leipzig have a great round of fixtures coming up, and it's not even that expensive actually at 11 million. So definitely a logical option, I think, this week. And then Grimaldo, still the best performing defender fantasy wise, even if he or Leverkusen haven't been up to the standards we got used to last season. And yeah, I just don't want to leave him out with Leverkusen playing at home to Heidenheim. Heidenheim was struggling a lot in the league heading into the international break, and I mean, Leverkusen need to bounce back at some point. So maybe it's this week. Either way, Grimaldo usually does well just because of his involvement. So yeah, definitely a player I want. And then finally, Toya Kauf costs 1 million, has at least a chance of coming on as a substitute. Not expecting him to start. Chase has actually played a lot of minutes this season. Filled in well when needed at the back. Not expecting him to play this week though. Carrying a knock into the game for Stuttgart, and probably wouldn't start anyway. But that's just how it is. I'm fairly confident about the other 3 defenders. So that's the tactic I've picked.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably one of the few positions where Stuttgart aren't actually hammered with injuries, it seems, and that might come into our thinking a little bit later in the show. So let's just pick up on anything that's been asked about from a defensive point of view. Let's pick up this question from David. David says, "Morning, guys. Do you think that Tom Rota could be an option again from this match day on?" Good question, David. But is there a doubt about him playing this weekend, Rune?
Yeah, there is. He was injured before the international break, and Robert Skov stepped in and did really well. Actually, fairly well at the left wing back position. And I think Skov has a pretty good chance of starting again. Svensson has also left Rode out of a few other games where he wasn't injured. And in addition to that, Union face Leverkusen next week, and then they have Stuttgart. So definitely a player with a lot of potential, but not one I would look at the moment because of his position in the squad and the Union's fixtures as well.
Yeah, excellent stuff. Thanks for that question, David. Scott, he says, "Thank you for the show. Love it, but have to get back to work, so we'll rewatch later." So I hope you enjoy when you do rewatch the rest of the show, David. And thanks very much for tuning in and enjoying everything that we send your way. Let's have a look. Question from William Brown, another top fancy viewer of ours. William, you've asked, with Chase injured, any suggestions for budget price defenders who should get some playing time? Well, I mean, I suppose the question, William, is how budget are we talking? Are we talking Chase? Because Chase obviously is 1 mil. I think that'd be a struggle, I presume, Rune, to find any starting or any defenders that might get a run out at 1 mil. But what other budget ideas have you got in mind?
3 million, you can get Gjerulff from Holstein Kiel. And he's actually been involved in a few goals for them. And if I remember correctly, their fixtures are actually pretty okay. They're playing Mainz at home this week, which is an okay fixture. And also they actually had a bit of a rise in form before the international break. But still, I think if you have that 1 extra million, and you can get Collins for 4 million from Eintracht, who I mentioned before. And then for 1 million more, you can get Brown. So probably wise to at least pay that 4 million to get Collins, I think. But if you can't find that extra million, then I think Israel is a pretty solid pick at 3 million as well.
Yeah, good stuff. Thank you for that question, William. Then we've got a few from Iona, so let's get to those 100%. Hope you're doing well. Just want to say thank you for the great show that you always put on. You're very, very welcome. We enjoy doing it. It's obviously a main reason as to why we carry on doing this for you guys and ourselves. Do you think that Mio will start? Looks interesting to bring him in. I think this is related to something that someone might have said on X, actually. And I mean, I presume with the amount of injuries in and around the team, Rune, that Mio has to start if he is fit and available. But there are theories that he might have to drop in a little bit further back and therefore maybe negate his involvement from an attacking point of view and maybe the points that he's able to, gather up, basically.
Yeah. Both things are correct. I think should start with all the injuries. Actually, one of the only positive things Hoeneß had to say at his pre-match presser yesterday was that Mio is actually fit, and despite he actually picked up a knock as well during the international break, but he's been past fit to play. So the only question is where will he play, and probably with Stiller carrying a knock, he will have to step back a bit and play in the more central role alongside Carasso. But I don't think it's necessarily a problem fantasy-wise, because if you look at Stiller's points, the role he plays, he's actually doing quite well. It's not he's getting I think around 170 points per game on average, and it's a bit like with Granit Xhaka. If you make a lot of passes, then that's just a really solid foundation for you to do well, and he will do that if he plays that role. Sure, from an attacking perspective, might not get into the same kind of finishing positions, but then maybe he can compensate for that by being that heavily involved in the passing play. So very good option, I think, no matter which role he plays.
Yeah, no, I do agree. And sorry, I just realised that we jumped ahead in terms of going on to midfielders there. But just wanted to get on to Iona's question. But yeah, as you say, there's a good chance that he might be able to get on the ball a little bit more. And sometimes in games, I feel that VfB struggled to find him, particularly this season, especially when he's playing a little bit further out wide. So yeah, that could be a good thing for VfB fans and fantasy players. Also, second question from Iona. I also have my eyes on Bamba. Do you think he will start?
No, I don't think so. But I noticed that he had a quite good game, friendly, during the international break. And when a new coach comes in, then he might have some new ideas and try some different players. And initially he went for Gate Holtmann at the left wing back position last week, and that worked pretty well, and they got a good result. So I assume Bochum will continue with the same starting lineup as last week. But I think Bamba's position in the squad could become more important, and could come in from the bench. And actually, I have him in my draft team this week, just because I think he's the best 1 million option in midfield. So a player to keep an eye on. And if you need someone cheap for 1 million, then I think he's probably the best option in midfield.
Very good stuff. Right, yeah, let's move on then to our midfielders, and then we can move this show forward. So yeah, again, got our 5 picks that Rune has very kindly gone out for. Sorry, 4 picks. Is that right?
Yeah, I forgot Bamba when I sent you
Yeah,
my pick. So
yeah.
that's why.
No
But
worries.
yeah, he's the fifth one. And other than that, yeah, as I said, it's a 3-4-3, so 4 starting midfielders, and gone with Rieder from Stuttgart as the first one. I actually wanted Mio, but couldn't quite find that 2 million extra to get Mio, and still think Rieder is he's a great alternative, as we talked about with all the injuries Stuttgart have at the moment. I mean that is a big downside for them heading into the game, but from a fantasy perspective, it creates chances for cheaper fantasy options like Rieder, who's I think he's been a bit inconsistent, but when he's been at his best, I think he's shown that he can make a real impact, and has a great shot from distance, and good at swinging in crosses as well. So yeah, could see some goal involvement from him, and 9 million I think is a pretty good price, especially looking at the fixture. And then I've gone with Nadim Amiri, who's just an all-round solid fantasy player. Gets around 200 points most weeks, and now that Mainz have a favorable run of fixtures, I think he's close to a must-have for me. A player I'm pretty certain about that he will get the points and not disappoint the fantasy owners again, like earlier in the season when he got a red card against Augsburg. I still haven't quite forgiven him for that, but I'm not assuming he will do anything like that again. And then finally, Musiala and Wirtz, probably don't need to say that much about them. I've learned it the hard way that you just need to have that duo in your team. I think kind of underestimated their ability to really have crazy match days with 300, 400 point hauls, especially Wirtz. Usually gets just a lot of points for involvement alone. And with the form Musiala has shown lately as well, just don't want to go without him. And then finally, Bamba, as I said, good player to have off the bench. Can see him coming on and maybe have an impact there. So the best player at that price, I think, in midfield.
Yeah, no, without doubt. Definitely feels that you've got a soft spot for Amiri, Rune. You're ready to be hurt again by him. But no, he is. Yeah, he's a solid fantasy asset, as you said, and a definite pick for everyone to be keeping a very close eye on. With Mainz, they've been interesting this season. Mainz, they've been a bit up and a bit down. But yeah, Amiri's been central to obviously everything that they do from an attacking point of view, as well as Johnny Burkhart, who might get a shout in a second. But yeah, so if anyone's got any more midfield related questions, do get them in whilst we're going through this one that was asked by David, and then obviously we'll move on to strikers. Just a quick shout to trial Bulinews, who's a big fantasy follower and top bloke and watches the show, and he has also mentioned in regards to Enzo Mio and whether getting him is a trap this week. So hopefully we've covered that for you a little bit earlier on Pal, and the fact that he might be likely to be playing a little bit deeper, but doesn't necessarily mean that he's not a good pick this week around. So David has asked, and if you could have 2 out of Amiri, Mio, and Grifo, which 2 would you get this match day? That's a good question, because the matchups are probably better for Amiri and Mio. So what do you reckon? I'd probably go Amiri and Mio.
Definitely. I would definitely do that, especially with 5 transfers. It's pretty tough matchup for Freiburg away against Dortmund, who have a lot of players coming back from injury.
True.
No, they've been inconsistent and everything, but Grifo also was in a bit of a dip in form just before the international break. He missed a penalty against Union. The second one he's missed in a row, actually. So I think based on the matchups and form, I would go with Amiri and Mio, and then you can always get Grifo next week if you want him. I think it's fairly easy to make those changes from Matchday to Matchday now that we have 5 transfers.
Yeah, 100%. We were talking about it last night, obviously, on the prediction show. Freiburg, their record against Dortmund, they just never seem to beat them, especially, on their travels. Signal Iduna Park is a safe haven for BVB, and expect it to be again. So we'll see how that one goes. Quick one in, as well from Kanan, saying, I have Grifo. Is he still a good option?
Yeah.
He's still a good option, but if you have the room to maybe move things around and you're compelled to.
I mean, you could also get Baumgartner from Leipzig, for example. Who's playing Hoffenheim. He costs the same as Grifo. So that's another option in the same price bracket. Or you could get Rieder, who I picked in this team for 9 million, for example. Lee from Mainz also has a good matchup against Holstein Kiel. So a lot of alternatives, I think, with better matchups.
Yeah, 100%. Also, a question or a comment in from Kanan saying, Musiala is a great option, but do you think Olise is a good, cheaper player than Musiala? Well, I mean, Olise has lit up the Bundesliga and probably been one of maybe 2 or 3 outstanding players overall from a performance point of view across the league, let alone from a fantasy point of view. So absolutely a good option, Rune. But I suppose grand if you can fit them both in. But if it's just one, what are we saying? Stick with Musiala?
Yeah, I think so. Also because Olise gets substituted quite early, most games, usually around like 60, 70 minutes. So actually, if you want a cheaper alternative from Bayern, he is great, and not saying at all that he won't have an amazing match day, but I think Kimmich is at 1 million less, plays 90 minutes most weeks, and just has a really high involvement in the passing play. They dominate games a lot under company on like 65-70% possession in a lot of the games they play. So if you look at Kimmich's average points, he's doing very, very well too, and he plays 90 minutes every time. So also an option worth considering if you want an alternative.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you for those questions, though, very much, Kanan. Right, so time to move on to the money makers, the strikers. So we'll get them up on screen for you now. So whilst Rune's running through them, get your questions in. Make sure you know where you're at with your strikers, because, of course, really, really important to get these right ahead of the next run of fixtures. We don't have an international break for a while. Obviously, we'll have a Christmas break, but not for another 4 or 5 match days. So make sure you get your questions in if you can think of any. So over to you, Rune, to run us through 3 very good-looking strikers. I don't mean physically good-looking, but also.
I know what you mean, and I agree. I think Marmoush and Kane, don't really need to say that much about those two. I think they're just nailed on at the moment. Very difficult to ignore them both. So for me, it was all about picking that third striker because I think there were a lot of good options in like the same price category. Ultimately, I went with Kleindienst, who's he's been amazing, surprisingly good. I think you kind of expected him to get some goals for Gladbach, but I think he's exceeded expectations considerably so far. He's been really good for them, and also scored a brace for Germany during the international break. So he's a player with a lot of confidence at the moment. and also setting up goals. He had a game, the one against Werder, where he got 3 assists. So yeah, he's capable of doing a lot of things, also winning duels, which is good fantasy wise. That he's not just relying on goals to get points. And Gladbach have a good fixture at home against St. Pauli. That's also looking good. But in terms of the alternatives, I think Burkhardt, as you mentioned earlier, Rory, I think he costs 10 million. Also a player worth considering with Leipzig's good, Mainz good schedule in consideration, and also Demirovic, who is nailed on to play now with Touré injured and Undav injured as well. Or you could go with an option from Leipzig. They have a nice schedule as well.
Yeah.
So that's also worth considering. But I think for this match day, my gut feeling is saying Team Kleindienst.
Yeah, obviously from a Gladbach point of view, they're at home. You kind of feel that they're settled into this again, like we were talking about last night on the prediction show. This attacking quartet where Sturger is having to sit out for a little while with Plie kind of playing in behind him with Honorat and Robin Hack as well. So definitely feel that, particularly that partnership, that I feel that Kleindienst and Honorata particularly linking up really well. Yeah. The crosses that are coming in, Kleindienst is really making the most of them, and that's quite a nice thing to see, because that's a thing that we often see in the Bundesliga, and some great partnerships, striking partnerships, like Marmoush and Ekitike. But yeah, definitely one to consider. So, don't think there's any more questions that have come in or that we've missed, especially around the strikers. So again, you've probably got about 30 seconds to submit one before we close up for this morning's show. So whilst I'm just doing the final bits of admin, you can maybe, if you think of any questions, submit one. But yeah, so just a few heads up and highlights. So please, if you can do, leave a like on the show, leave comments. Obviously, if you've not been able to watch live, myself and Rune will do our utmost to keep an eye on the questions coming in throughout the day, of course, ahead of the 7:30 UK time deadline before the Bayern and Augsburg match kicks off this evening. Make sure you do subscribe to the channel. And don't miss out on any notifications. I told you we'd have one more whilst I was going through admin, so I'm glad we did. One in from Golem. Hope you're doing well. Also, will Stuttgart suffer due to missing players? Well, this is one we talked about a little bit last night as well. So I've had my say on it. If you want to have a little think and rewatch the Thursday show. But yeah, what are you feeling? What are your thoughts and feelings about this one, Rune? Because I mean, I feel this will be quite a tight game, and I think Stuttgart will suffer, especially going forward, because there's a lot of pressure on Demirovic to lead the line without Undav and El Bilal Touré.
Yeah, I agree. It's far from the same team as we used to see from Stuttgart. Defensively, I think they're looking quite solid. But sure, going forward in a game where Bochum will likely sit back with 5 defenders and look to hurt them on the counter, could be a tight game actually, and they need to rely on players like Führig and Rieder as well to create something. And they've been quite inconsistent, and Führig especially hasn't hit the heights that he did last season. So yeah, there's a bit of a question mark hanging over Stuttgart ahead of the game that I don't think would be there if the likes of Undav and Touré and Stiller were fit and certain to play. So definitely worth considering, also because Bochum actually got a good result under Heging in his first game in charge. So they're heading into the game with like a different mindset as well, and a lot more confidence than they had before he took over.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so good question there. Goal machine. Thank you very much for that. Finally, Lawrence saying, no questions from me, but I wanted to say thanks for the show as always, and have a great match day to you both. Thank you very much. Hope you have a great match day. I hope everyone does and gets loads of fantasy points, and hopefully the Bundesliga is back properly after their international break. We get some awesome games. The games do look quite tasty, I have to admit. Really looking forward to them, so fingers crossed. Just finally, you can find us on X, at Over the Bar and at Village Footy. Of course, Bulinews are on there as well. We're over on Instagram also, so you know where to find us. Been a great show. Great to be back. We shall be back on Monday to review it all over again. Enjoy your weekends, guys. Thank you, everyone.
One thing.
Yeah, of course, mate.
We are on Blue Sky now as well, in case some of you are using that. So we're actually growing quite a community over there, and we're getting close to 400 followers on the Bulinews account there. So in case you want to join us there, we're not leaving X, but just saying we're also on Blue Sky. So just so you know.
Very good. Yeah, so make sure you go to Blue Sky and check them out. I'm very tempted to have a look myself, so I might have to set up a personal one at the very least to see what's going over on Blue Sky. But yeah, great stuff, everyone. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the footy. We'll catch you on Monday.